Hi, Dr. J here. Last couple videos we've been talking about food, and recognizing godly food versus processed food, discussing how sugar is a very addictive substance in the body, causing all sorts of disease, and again, well published and now well researched on that one fact alone. And we also talked about how do you get godly foods on the go. Well, I've gotten a lot of correspondence and people reaching out to me via the messengers or through email or text or even reaching out via phone calls in regards to wanting to know how do you actually break the cycle. How do you, knowing that you're addicted to sugar, knowing there's a lot of sugar in your nutrition or your diet, how do you break that? And first and foremost, I'm going to tell you just openly that I was absolutely a sugar addict. For those of you again who knew me as a kid, or as my wife will tell you, even as we started dating, I was the guy who had the cup of coffee and I had the bottle of white sugar, and I would just sit there and I would pour it in there. I mean, just keep on pouring, and then I would finally stir it up, and it was literally like a candy bar I was drinking. One time, actually, my wife and I were on our date, and she had a sip of my coffee on accident, and she almost got sick because it was so much sugar. So I'm definitely speaking from experience with respect to having sugar really have a control over me and always searching for it. And so what I did personally, what I've shown other people to do, including friends, family, and patients, is really a four-step process to breaking a sugar addiction or addiction to processed foods that really are not godly foods that actually cause disease and sickness. The first is you've got to become aware of the dangers of sugar. Now, for me personally, when I started to delve into the research that links sugar and cancer, and knowing that I lost my father to cancer, it became real clear to me that I had to do something to not allow that disease to slowly develop in my body over years. So that was my big why. In future videos I'll talk about this, but don't wait for me. Go online and Google it. Google sugar and its connection to, and you name the disease, diabetes, cancer. Again, the latest research is now showing that sugar has a huge correlation or huge effect on dementia and even Alzheimer's disease. So you first got to be aware of the danger of sugar. It's got to create an emotional response inside of you that says, whoa. Because the second step is you have to now ask yourself, if I continue to eat sugar and processed foods at the level that I am eating it, what truly is going to happen to my health? Really, what's going to happen? What does the next 5 years or 10 years or 20 years look like? Will I be developing disease? And not only this, to be very upfront with you, you can't be selfish. You have to ask yourself, who else will be affected if I continue this path? Whether it be a wife or a husband or kids, or am I going to leave loved ones behind if I pass away, unfortunately, too early because I wasn't able to control this addiction to sugar? Once you have those first two, and they're more of an emotional, psychological aspect, recognizing the dangers of sugar and becoming aware of who will suffer because you didn't change this habit in the future, you now have to start taking action. I talked about this in the past. You got to get clear, and then you got to take action. So the next step is you have to do a detox. There's really no way around it. And for those of you who either know someone that's dealt with it or dealt with it yourself, those that have been addicted to other substances, you know that once you do a withdrawal process, there's some nasty things that can happen. And during that process, whether it be nausea or sweating or not being able to sleep or not having any appetite, as you're coming off of these addictive substances, just because you're feeling junky, you would never go ahead and put more of that addictive substance, whether it be alcohol or narcotics, back into your body. The same thing with sugar and processed foods. You've got to give yourself some time to clean out your system. You have to work on abstaining from sugar for 30 to 45 days. Give your body a chance to realize it doesn't need to be dependent on these things. You also can have medical detoxes. I alluded to this in an earlier video as well. It's one of the things I use every 3 months. I use a new detox to really clean out my kidneys, clean out my liver, and allow my body a chance just to clean out all the residue of any sugars or any processed foods I did take in during that 3-month time frame. You also, the last step, the fourth step is this. You got to understand the triggers that you have in your life. And you all know you have them. I'll tell you mine. So a lot of times I'll come home, I'll be tired, it'll be the end of the night, I just had dinner, playing with the kids or hanging out, and I'm just getting that craving for something sweet. You all know what I'm talking about? That end of the night craving where you want to reach for a ice cream or a candy bar, right? So here's the deal. You have to recognize first that you're getting called by the addiction. what I'm going to encourage you to do is ask yourself, what is my body really asking me? What does it really want? Your body doesn't really want a Snickers bar. It doesn't really want Ben & Jerry's, although you might argue that it does. It doesn't. What it wants is some form of sugar for your bloodstream, or it wants a good healthy fat. So instead of reaching for those ungodly or processed foods, reach for a piece of fruit. You know, get a handful of almonds or walnuts, or make yourself a small sandwich with, you know, almond butter and some jelly, something of that nature. Give yourself what your body really wants. And also make sure you're prepared. Meaning this, if you have an addiction to sugar in your coffee like I once did, you got to start making the transition that you'll be able to have the sugar in the raw, or a stevia, other sweeteners that are substitutes that you can have prepared. You'll bring them with you. Nowadays they're out everywhere. But when I started this journey, they weren't. I had to bring that stuff with me so I could get over my coffee and sugar addiction. So again, in recap, how do you break this sugar addictive cycle? First and foremost, you've got to become aware of the dangers of sugar on all forms of disease, or excuse me, the connection with sugar in all forms of disease. Second, ask yourself, if I keep on eating sugar at this rate, knowing what I know about the disease correlation with sugar, who is going to suffer and how will my health suffer if I don't stop? The third thing is you've got to do a period of detoxification, 30 to 45 days where you abstain from those foods, give your body a chance and your mind a chance to realize you don't need it. Really, you don't. And the last thing, the fourth step, is be prepared and always know your triggers. If you're going to be stressed, then guess what? Don't be near a gas station, or don't have a Snickers bar with you during a stressful situation. Instead, make sure you have your fruit or some good fats, healthy fats, to calm that craving. So again, I hope this helps some of you out there to break the sugar cycle, and we'll continue to go down this rabbit hole of how you can literally start taking better control of your health once and for all. So again, hope this blessed some of you out there, and until next time, talk to you soon.